On this episode, I sit down with the founder and CEO of Ikon, the talent booking platform. And his name is Ja Rule. Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. I'm really excited about this episode because joining me here on the set at NASDAQ in Times Square is a businessman that I have followed for many years, well before I had this beard, and his name is none other than Ja Rule. Ja,
hey.
Welcome to Real Talk.
No doubt, man. What's going on? How
It
you feeling,
is
Carlos?
so good to be able to chop it up with you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. I mean, this is a long time coming. So.
Long time coming. Now, to set the stage for you, I met you 2 years ago at South by Southwest.
Yeah.
It was a YEC event. You were chopping it up with Gary V and NV.
Yeah.
It was an amazing panel.
Yeah.
And what really stood out to me was two things. And just so you know, like that was the highlight of my South by Southwest because I've been following your music since, once again, before I had these braids showing your beard. Two things that stood out. One, you were wearing the spectacles.
Yeah.
When the spectacles first dropped, they were really hot. And two was your business acumen, specifically around tech.
Yeah.
So how is it that you got into tech from music?
Well, that's a really good question because I learned that the hard way. You know, music is my passion, my love. I grew up to the sounds of music, as we all have. But what I learned as I got older and became a musician and got into the business of music is that this business is subjective. People don't have to like Ja Rule. So, I went through a phase in my career where, with all of the beef stuff and the investigations of my company, Murder Inc. with Gotti and stuff, we went through all of these things that was just overwhelmingly crazy. And what I learned is I was on top of the world and then woke up with the world on top of me. And it's all because music is subjective. People don't have to like Ja Rule. They could, like whatever. There's many options. Now, fast forward to tech. It's a little different because your business doesn't always depend on the CEO or the guy who actually came up with the vision for the business. Like Apple, take for example. Steve Jobs is the guy who came up with the vision. It was his company. He, wanted to, make computers and build this amazing company, and found himself on the outskirts of his own company because of the board and everything voted him out or whatever. They, it's mixed stories. Some say he left. Some say he got voted out. Whatever. But whatever happened is this man wasn't the CEO of his company anymore. But we didn't stop using Apple products because Steve Jobs wasn't at the helm. Now Steve Jobs has passed away, he's gone, and we still are using Apple products, So for me, it's like that stuck with me. You can do tech and people actually need tech. You actually need Amazon, you need Google, so these things you're not gonna stop using because these guys may go through some transgressions in their lives.
Now, were you sitting there at a point where your music career is at a crossroads and you're thinking like, what's next for me? Tech's hot. Did you maybe speak with Gary V or take a trip out to Silicon Valley?
I'm a creative first and foremost, and that's what I also figured out and learned about myself is, that I love to create things, not just music, but I love to create film and television ideas. I love to create tech ideas. I have a couple of inventions, that I'm working on getting my, patents for right now. So that's what I really learned, that I love to create. And it wasn't just music. Music was my entry into being this creative person that I really believe I'm going to become, in the years to come. So that's the main thing. I'm a creative.
And one of the things that you mentioned before that really stood out to me, you said music is subjective and people don't have to like the persona. They don't have to like the artist. But let's kind of transition over to marketing. So that's the sandbox that I play in. As a marketer, I'm writing a book called The End of Marketing. that comes out later on this fall. And in the book,
Congrats.
thank you, I appreciate it. That's actually my first album.
Right.
I look at the whole
There you
process
go.
of writing a book and getting published. It's like producing an album.
Right.
But with that being said, the premise of the book is that today, people are the brands that other people want to follow. It's not logos anymore. It's not the Apple, right? It's not the Nike swoosh. It's individual. So like, make the connection with.
Right, but see now you say that, but then your brand lies on that individual. If said individual gets caught up in a rape scandal, your brand is finished, because people buy that brand because of this person. They invested into that brand because of this person. You know, when you look at Nike, the swoosh, it's a symbol. You don't think about Phil Knight.
Right.
You understand? And that's the difference. That is the major difference in you know, attaching an artist and making that the brand versus having a brand and you know, it's its own thing. You know?
So in the tech world, as a startup founder, specifically with Ikon, how important is it leveraging your brand?
I mean, for me, it's not that important. The important thing for me is building a platform that's amazing, first and foremost, that people look at and say, wow, this thing is absolutely amazing and I want to use it. I need to use it. It's a necessity in my life. It's not something that I, you know, want to have. It's not a want. It's just something that I can actually use for whatever reason. You know, so for me, that's first and foremost. Let's build something that's, you know, out of this world, never seen before, and hopefully people gravitate towards it because of that, not because it's mine or some other artist is backing it, you know?
Now, from my perspective, what Ikon does, and feel free to interrupt me here and jump in, you're cutting out the middleman. So you can go directly to the artist, and you can book an artist, whether it's for a bar mitzvah or for a concert, you can book the artist. Now, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. I feel, connecting this to social media marketing, that the same way you're looking to cut out the middleman from the talent industry or the music industry, eventually us, the brands, the consumers that are making social media relevant, we will cut out the middleman as well. Right. And we'll get to a point where Ja Rule will have his own paywall or his own private social network where someone can come in, they can book Ja, and you can sell tickets online without ever having to go to YouTube or Facebook.
Well, that's what Ikon is, basically. Ikon is just that. You can book any kind of talent you want on Ikon, not just, you know, musicians. You can book athletes, speakers. You know, I would love to have guys like Gary Vee and, you know, Damon John on the platform as well, just because, you know, if you want them to come speak at your event, where do you find these guys? Where do you begin to, you know, start to look? So Ikon was built for that reason, you know, to eliminate all of the fuss in the middle. And I don't want to talk too much about it because it's a dirty business. I mean, let's call it what it is. The booking industry is archaic. It's been the same way since the music industry started, and everything else is changing. Why shouldn't the booking industry? Why shouldn't artists be able to take more control of their booking process? I mean, from soup to nuts. Like, all right, buyer comes, books artist and his team have the deal right there in the hand. So now the artist knows exactly what the deal is. You don't have to worry about management trying to take a little off the top more than they should. You don't have to worry about, you know, your third cousin or this person that met the buyer getting his little cut up. All of that is a moot point when you use Ikon, because it goes straight from the buyer to the talent, and then they negotiate and work out the deal. Now,
you mentioned speakers before. You mentioned Gary Vee and Damon John.
Yeah.
Carlos G is a speaker also.
Hey, Carlos, we need you on the platform.
I will sign up for the platform. I'm a keynote speaker too,
so
let's make it happen.
I can book Carlos now on the platform. Get him to speak at your event.
Now, let's talk about the platform itself. So you mentioned before Steve Jobs and his board of advisors over at Apple.
Right.
So I would presume that you have built Ikon because you have a team of developers and advisors as well.
Yeah. And you know, that's a tough thing. You know, my number one rule of thumb in business, I have like a little business Bible.
What are Ja Rule's rules
my 10 commandments? You know what? I'll pull them up for you. I don't know them by heart. I know the first few or whatever because I wrote them down. But the first commandment of my business commandments is hire extraordinary people. And I say that to say, you know, I may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but the knives all around me will be.
Woo!
You, you know, they will
tweet that out.
And because that's what building a great team and building a great company is about. It's about the people that work around it. You know, when you look at, you know, anything, an artist, a business, you don't get to see the behind the scenes. You don't get to see the things that make that thing what it is that you love. And it's a lot, you know, and there's a lot of people that work behind the scenes to make your greatest artist that great artist, or your greatest company that great company. And for me, that's important.
You know, Ja, I think that could be an entire series.
Yeah.
Ja rules of business.
Yeah, I'm
right
gonna
there.
pull them up in a second because they're really good rules. You know, and my second rule is, you know, listen to your employees. You know, I'm hire these smart people to boss them around, tell them what to do. I want them to tell me what to do.
You met my creative director. He's behind the cameras right now, right? Like, I always say, I depend on my team to make me look good.
Absolutely.
I depend on partners. Like, we're here at NASDAQ in a beautiful studio right now.
Yeah.
This looks a lot better than doing a video on Instagram Live, right, on an iPhone.
Yeah.
You know, with that being said, Ja, let's transition over to the last 24 months. And before we get there, staying on Ikon, it looks very similar to a business that you previously had called Fyre.
Right. Well, you know, Fyre was a great idea, and Ikon is a rebrand of what the app of Fyre was. You know, the festival was its own thing. But yeah, you know, this idea is something that is gonna live with us for a long time, whether Ja Rule does it or somebody else comes along and does it. And so my thinking in that was, I'll be damned if I let this great idea fall into someone else's lap, and then they get to do it. And I sit back and watch something that I created become huge, and I don't have anything to do with it. So I said, you know what? They're probably gonna be copycats after this whole thing, you know, comes out and people see, because it's a good idea, it's a great idea. And I'm gonna at least be in the race. And for me, that meant being first to market with the new company and the new branding, because I knew that any smart business guy would see what we were doing and say, hey, great idea, bad organization.
Again, I learned about the concept in 2017 in South by Southwest. I think that business model has more relevance today. Because you have more creators charging brands.
Absolutely.
You have more people getting into the public speaking game.
Absolutely.
You know, through obviously Spotify and SoundCloud. You have more musicians that are jumping into the game too. And again, like you said before, the old way's archaic. You either go to a talent manager.
And you know, I do see this is now. It's a great segue because talent managers, you know, not to knock what they do, but they pick up a phone. You have a hot artist, you pick up a phone, you make a quote. My artist wants 100,000. You hang up the phone. That's basically the situation. You know, they're not out looking for opportunities for the artists, you know, per se. And I'm not, you know, I have nothing, I want to make this a point right now. I don't have anything against any of the agencies. CAA, William Morris, I want to work with these guys. I'm here, you know, I don't take anything from the artist. So if CAA, if you take 10% from your artist or whatever your deal is with the artist, continue to take that. If I can bring more money to you because I'm basically the eye in the sky that is seeing it all, or people are seeing the talent all there because it's in one place and it's worldwide, I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, so I'm not here to fight and feud with the agencies. I'm here to, you know, hopefully partner with the agencies and build them their own page. Like we've done a great thing with my good friend Sujit and his company Scam Artists. They have a gang of DJs, one of the biggest, you know, agencies for all of the DJs and stuff. And I, you know, did a thing with him and put Scam Artists on the platform. And then they're all under his thing. So CAA can do the same thing. Make a CAA page, make a William Morris page.
I always say, Ja, you know, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Like, there's enough opportunity to go around.
Yeah.
There's enough opportunity for everyone to eat off of the same plate, right? Like, for myself in the public speaking world, I'm signed with an agent.
Yeah.
But my agent's not out hustling like I am.
This is what I'm saying.
Every single day. My agent's not coming here to New York for 48 hours and hustling to get me on stages.
Right. And you know what we do at Ikon is we're constantly thinking of ways to monetize the business. And you know, so take athletes, for example. You know, I'm not, you know, people are not going to go in and book Steph Curry for their, that's not what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is for some of these retired guys, that are out there and they're not making that, that big money like they used to before, but these guys are legends in sports, fans' eyes and in the world's eyes. And, there's a lot of ways that we can monetize that. And one of the ways I came up with is, okay, let's take a random Sunday. You take one of your Hall of Famer football players that, he goes to the games anyway on Sundays. He watches all the games. He's a football fan still, And now you have 3 or 4 guys that have their boxes, they're CEOs of this company or whatever, and they would love to get 5 or 10 minutes of your personal time. They'd pay for that. You can stop in the box, make 10, 15 grand, 5, 10, 15, whatever the deal is, make you some money, and in that 5, 10 minutes, sign a few autographs, smile with the kids, take them, and you would have probably did it anyway, but now they would pay for your personal time.
Right.
You can leave that stadium with $40,000, $50,000 a Sunday.
And to take it another level, you can get brands to sponsor that as well.
There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways. I don't want to give it up for
no,
other companies
no,
looking, but
I'm just saying, like, now that you're going along those lines, right? Because once you start talking about big money like that, right, then the question comes, well, is someone swiping a credit card to have Ja Rule come through for 5 minutes to take some photos for 15 grand? Well, maybe that person's not swiping the credit card, but maybe a corporate sponsor in the back end is, because then they see the tie. Going back to what I said before about humanization of brand, why leveraging a personal brand is much more important than a corporate brand, because people want to follow the personal brand, not the corporate brand. So I was having this conversation at Gary Vee's ESPYs party.
Right.
I want to say it was with Reggie Bush.
Okay.
And I was talking to Reggie Bush about how athletes nowadays can get paid playing video games.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine being able to play Madden with one of your favorite players on Twitch.
There's a lot of, and that's another thing. People don't realize, the consumer, the guy that wants to book a Reggie Bush or whatever talent, we don't know what an artist or a talent is willing to do for, maybe Reggie loves to play video games and would go play at a corporate thing with some guys that love to play video games for a fee. I don't know. So these are the things that I'm also learning, trial and error, with having the company and just going down the list of things that an artist would do, for a buy. Those other things, besides just doing a performance.
Now, you have a really active presence on social media.
Yeah.
What's your handle?
Rule York City.
Rule York City.
Rule York City.
How did that come to fruition?
Well, that's my Instagram handle, because somebody took my name. Somebody took Ja Rule, so it wasn't available. So I said, it's okay. I'll create my own thing for some.
Now, I saw you over the weekend. You're posting content on Instagram stories.
Yeah.
You're active on the Twitters. Yeah. How has that helped you with this, let's just say, younger generation?
Well, I mean, social media is very important. I'm not the best at it, at using it. I'm a little bit older now, so me being on my phone all day long trying to get the right picture to post or whatever is kind of not my thing. But I do realize, and recognize the importance of it and how it can, be beneficial to a lot of different artists. And, so I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to, post more. Gary Vee, he talks about it a lot and how, it really, if you're an artist, you should really learn how to, monetize your social media. Relevance
is everything.
Yeah.
The more that you're in people's faces, the more that you're sampling tracks, the more that you're giving people access to what you do behind the scenes. In the long run, it's going to drive more traffic to your startup.
See, it's so crazy, Carlos, because I'm from a different era. I'm from an era of scarcity was the thing that made an artist more valuable. Like if you seen Michael Jackson or Prince, one of these guys walk in a room, it was like, holy, like, wow, like he does exist, and now, it's the opposite, like you said, artists being more accessible to you is what people want. So you know, the business and the game just changes. And, you know, for me, I'm making the adjustment, but I'm just not as good at it as these kids because they grew up with it. That is their life. You know, I grew up in a different era where, you know, our business was basically, you know, to have that thing, that mystique.
Bro, the business back then was having that hot CD,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Being on BET,
MTV.
all over the place.
Yeah.
That's the era that I grew up in.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like my son, he's here on the set watching this right now. He's all about the Snapchat thing,
Right.
YouTube,
Right.
Twitch.
Yeah.
So I always think, as a older millennial myself who's in the business world, the artists need to be on these platforms as well, interacting with the kids.
Yeah. And we are, and we do. You know, like I said, I'm not the best at it. I probably should post more. Probably should, you know, put up more stories and stuff like that. You know, but for me, I probably have to hire somebody to just follow me around and capture everything that's going on. And
that's an opportunity for Ikon.
like right now, somebody should be capturing this for me and posting it and getting it up there. But I came by myself, Carlos. You see that?
That's the call to action. To those of you watching, make sure that you hit Ja up on Instagram if you want to work with him. Now, Ja, before we let you off the set, let's talk about what the last 24 months of being Ja Rule has been like.
It's been a roller coaster. It's been up and down. You know, and you know, what's so crazy about being an entrepreneur? You know, you have those days where you're like, yes, I knew it. This is it. Everything's going great. And then you have those days like, what am I doing? You know, like, is this working?
I feel you.
You know, so the last 24 months have been just that. You know, it's been a lot of ups and downs. You know, a lot of staying focused and you know, keeping the direction of where you want to go and what I want to do. You know, it's tough. It's tough when you have, you know, different businesses and you're trying to grow something as significant and as big as Ikon can be. It's tough.
Now, speaking of Fyre Festival.
Yeah.
And with all due respect, apologies if that's that area that's sensitive for you.
No.
But with Fyre Festival, the documentaries came out earlier this year. Have you still not seen?
I still haven't watched them. No, I still haven't watched them.
You still haven't seen? Why is that?
You know, documentaries tend to paint a picture with a broad brush. You know, it doesn't get to the intricacies of what's really going on, even though that is the idea of a documentary. You know, so I think people kind of, you know, take whatever they see on documentaries, you know, kind of word for word, you know, as Bible. And I lived it, and I didn't want to see the way that they would portray it or the way they would paint it, you know. And like I said, it's that broad brush, you know. So, you know, I'm cool with not seeing it, you know, and understanding what really happened and how it happened, and not somebody's depiction of it.
That's respect. Now, transitioning, job before we wrap up, what does the future look like for you?
Man, a lot of good things coming. You know, my new album, 12, coming December 12th of this year. Spiritual journey, you know, so it's gonna be a really, really good album. A lot of fun, got a lot to talk about. Ikon, I'm working on that, and a lot of build outs will be coming on Ikon, as well as the iOS and Android version of it. I have a few businesses, like I said. I have my partnership with my guys, and we have a thing called Alamo Creameries, which is a franchise of rolled ice cream, which is kind of
nice.
Cool. Yeah, and we'll be, you know, doing trucks and stuff like that throughout the city, you know, coming for next summer and stuff like that. So a lot of things I'm working on, you know.
And you're active touring as well?
Touring, and we got a tour coming up, and we're doing something with Live Nation, so I'm trying to put that together, so hopefully we'll get that going.
And the last thing is you need some social media help.
Social media, yeah, all right, so here we go. I'm not good at this, so I'm gonna throw it out there. My Twitter handle is Rule York, and my Instagram is Rule York City, as well as my Snapchat is Rule York.
What's the best way to get in touch with you? Because I know once this airs, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be hitting you up.
The best way to get in contact with me is ikon.me/Ja Rule. Get at me, you know, book me for your bar mitzvah, your wedding, or just a great concert.
You heard it here first. Ja Rule, thank you so much, my man.
Thank you, Carlos.
Always a
Thanks
pleasure.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Real Talk. Be sure to follow Ja Rule everywhere on social media. And if you want to work with him, you know what to do. Stay tuned.